War in Ukraine has so far been characterized by the sheer presence and variety of combat drones used. For the early years of the war, dedicated military drones held the edge, with Russia's Iranian-supplied Shahed 136s and Ukraine's Bayraktar TB2s briefly serving as the unrivaled king of the sky. In particular, these drones excelled in long-range operations where traditional interceptor-based countermeasures were ineffective. Later, in a cost-cutting move, simple but effective drones that began life as commercial toys began to see use because of their low cost and expendability. But Ukraine might be finally on the cusp of introducing one of the boldest and most innovative drone designs yet. Meet the Mongoose, Ukraine's jet-powered, reusable interceptor drone that carries a shotgun-like ordnance delivery system, with the explicit intention of shooting down enemy drones again and again. The Mongoose isn't just another weapon system, but a complete reimagining of how air defense should work in an era where the economics of interception have been turned on its head. But to understand why the Mongoose represents such a breakthrough, we need to first examine the math that traditional air defense systems face against modern drone swarms. The fundamental problem with defending against Russian drone attacks lies in the cost disparity between the problem and the solution. A Patriot interceptor for the PAC-3 platform that Ukraine has received costs over $3 million, while a NASAM AIM-9X variant is slightly over $1 million. Typically, firing a NASAM to intercept a cruise missile, which usually cost a few $1,000,000 each, is cost-effective. Even in the worst case, when you need 2 interceptors, you still come out ahead in terms of pricing. If you scale that up to an actual conflict that involves dozens or hundreds of missiles, you're essentially bankrupting the enemy by using less expensive equipment to take down their $1,000,000 weaponry. Meanwhile, a Shahed drone is estimated to cost between $20,000 and $50,000, with the lower end of that price range likely being the actual price tag. So basically, conventional defensive measures cost dozens of times more than the weapons that can bring them down. Thus, the war in this case becomes one of simple mathematics. So long as you can use relatively efficient, low-cost drones to destroy something worth multitudes more, you're in a winning position in the long run. And that's exactly what Russia has been able to do so far. Acknowledging that conventional warfare was yielding limited results, Russia significantly ramped up its use of Shahed drones, increasing from approximately 200 launches per week to more than 1,000 by March 2025, as part of a sustained pressure campaign. In their most devastating single attack, Russia shattered its own record for aerial assaults on Ukraine this summer, culminating in a peak attack on July 9th with a launch of 728 Shahed-type drones and decoys. Each of these attacks forced Ukrainian air defense commanders to spend millions of dollars on interceptors to stop tens of thousands of dollars worth of attack drones, lest they watch critical infrastructure get destroyed. It's a game where the defender loses money every time they win. Enter the Mongoose, or Mangoost, designed by the Odessa-based Technari Design Bureau as a direct response to this economic warfare. Mongoose, or something similar, can carry out multiple missions, and its multi-shot weapon can engage several targets on each launch, meaning fewer will be needed overall. And what makes this drone truly unique isn't just its reusability, but the weapon system it carries. Mangoost, the Ukrainian name for mongoose, uses a multi-barrel shotgun capable of disabling enemy drones by targeting their propulsion systems. Technari claims this will be sufficient to bring down Russian-Iranian UAVs. This isn't random weapon selection. The shotgun approach represents a sophisticated understanding of drone vulnerability physics. Traditional interceptors work through kinetic impact or explosive fragmentation, designed to destroy entire aircraft. The entire weapon explodes in shrapnel, dealing severe damage to the target, usually enough to blow up the hull or the fuel supply. The Mongoose mixes this with an approach that is both surgical and haphazard in nature. The shotgun ammunition allows it to increase the area of damage and therefore the probability of successful interception without the need for precise aiming. Shahed drones, despite their fearsome reputation, have critical weaknesses. Because the drones are small, slow, and fly at a low altitude, they're hard to spot on radar, but what makes them hard to spot also makes them vulnerable. Their engines are exposed, their propellers are unprotected, their lightweight construction means that even minor damage can bring them down. The weaponry is aimed at disabling the most vulnerable components of an enemy drone, those being the engine or propeller. A shotgun blast that would barely scratch a fighter jet can destroy a Shahed's propulsion system, sending it tumbling out of the sky. As far as actual construction is concerned, the Mongoose is based on engineering trade-offs. The jet engine of the Mongoose allows it to reach speeds of around 200 miles per hour. According to the technical specifications, this is sufficient to catch up with the most modern iteration of the Shaheds. Furthermore, with the effective combat radius being around 8 miles, the Mongoose is an excellent last line of defense against incoming aerial threats. These numbers might seem modest, but they're precisely calibrated for the Shahed. The original Shahed 136 drones fly at speeds up to 110 miles per hour and at altitudes between 196 and 13,000 feet. However, Russia has been upgrading its drones, so their version of the Shahids now cruise at around 8,200 feet altitude, hitting 130 miles per hour. More recently, Ukraine's air defenses have confirmed that Russia is consistently fielding jet-powered variants that can travel between 380 and 400 kilometers an hour, with some clocked at nearly 480. While these high-speed drones mark a significant leap in capability, they do not yet appear to be deployed in large enough numbers to shift the battlefield balance on their own. This is why the Mongoose's engineering philosophy becomes clear. Rather than trying to match the absolute performance of every possible threat, it's designed to outperform the drones that actually matter. The mass-produced, relatively slow Shahids that make up the bulk of Russian attacks. The thermal guidance system represents another crucial innovation. Technari developed its own additional guidance system for the Mongoose, which targets the relatively low thermal radiation of the Shahids. This heat-seeking capability allows the drone to track targets even in electronic warfare environments where GPS jamming renders other guidance systems useless. According to them, the visual identification phase works from a distance of up to 2,600 feet, and the auto-guidance system is activated in the final phase, approximately 490 to 656 feet from the target. From that moment on, the drone switches to automatic attack mode without needing any guidance or prompting from the operator. This alone would make a single drone incredibly effective at taking out a single target. The developers have gone further to allow the drone to shoot at the drones without damaging itself in the process, which is unlike what traditional interceptors have done so far. Technari has calculated that the Mongoose will be capable of destroying 10 to 12 Shahids over its life cycle. After engaging a target, Mangoost can remain airborne to pursue additional threats, then return to base to be refueled and reloaded. This isn't just about cost savings, but also about tactical flexibility. A single Mongoose launch can potentially neutralize multiple threats in a single sortie, something impossible with existing kamikaze interceptors. This reusability seems to be the core of the design process and one that is likely to influence future improvements. Hennady Soldin, the CEO of Technari, said that almost all kamikaze interceptor drones have a maximum speed of around 150 miles per hour, which will soon be outmatched as the Russians are starting to install more powerful propellers and jet engines. The solution isn't just faster drones, it's drones that can adapt and survive to fight again. The production economics makes this approach even more compelling. Ukraine's annual need for anti-Shahid drones is around 200,000 units, and no company in the market can produce this volume of required equipment in a short time. But Soldin noted that producing 5,000 to 7,000 reusable interceptors could replace the need for tens of thousands of disposable drones currently in use. The comparison between the Mongoose and traditional missile defense systems like Patriot reveals why reusability and lowering the costs are going to be a winning battle plan for Ukraine moving forward.